Hey, come explore with me the top rides across Panama. Spoiler alert, it goes up and down, and it's this elevator. Welcome back, or just welcome if it's your first time here to my 5-part travel vlog series, where I head to 5 randomly chosen locations inspired by a Geoguessr map game. Today, we are in Panamá City, about to head out to the first location that fate and destiny picked for me here 6 months ago. If you caught the first part of this series, you may have seen that I went to Dubai a couple months ago. And actually, I got to stand right on those exact randomly chosen coordinates. But before we head out on our adventure today, there's been a bit of a twist. So recently, I started playing this game called Travel Pics Game. It's kind of like the idea I had for my own travel inspiration, except it's way better. It was started by the man, the myth, the legend himself, the Chicago geographer, about 2 years ago, and now there are all kinds of spin-offs and variations. It is seriously so much fun seeing all these photos of places people have been around the world. So really quick flyby explainer of Travel Pics Games, because I encourage you to go look at his channel and the Discord server. There's a lot more information there to find. Basically, every couple of days a random spot on planet Earth gets chosen, and your job is to share the closest picture that you have ever taken, just you, not anybody else, that is nearest to those coordinates. Also, you have to put in the work and find and pinpoint the coordinates to the CG Discord. The best part is anyone can jump into this game at any time. You don't even have to wait for a new season. The game definitely will sharpen your mapping skills. It will level you up in just knowing about general places, topography, geography, and location. Plus, it also takes you on a trip right down memory lane, digging through some of your old travel photos. That's been a lot of fun to revisit some of these places. So yeah, over the past couple weeks, Travel Pics Game has brought out the competitive side in me, which is exactly why in this next part of this video, I want to share a couple strategies about Travel Pics Games with you, because one day I do want to win a season. I really want to win. It's probably not going to be this season, but sometime. Maybe I will get a t-shirt out of it or something. We'll see. Oh, tomorrow morning, let's go ahead, wake up nice and early, and we're going to take a little walking tour of Panamá City. Okay, just kidding, no strategies. Before we get too much further into the video, I need to explain something that happened, which kind of flipped my whole well-planned out itinerary upside down. During my first flight, I had a medical emergency and ended up with a minor concussion. I won't go into every detail, but basically there was a few things working against me. I was feeling pretty dehydrated from consuming way too much caffeine that day. I hadn't really slept much the night before, and then an event that was anxiety triggering kind of happened to me mid-flight, and that combination led to what is called airline syncope, which kind of sounds fake, but it is a real thing, and I fainted on the airplane. Luckily, there was a doctor on board, and when I regained consciousness, the plane was still en route to the destination, but I was super woozy and shaky. I don't actually remember blacking out, but I overheard the doctor asking how my head was feeling when I hit it, which makes me think that I must have gone down pretty hard, maybe even hit it on one of the seats. At the time, I didn't really feel anything, but a couple hours later, I started feeling this dull ache in the back of my head. So yeah, mild concussion. But then again, what kind of good trip would it be if at least someone didn't get injured? By the time I got to Panamá City, I just spent the whole first day recovering, still feeling pretty shaken and out of it. So that ended up pushing everything that I really wanted to do in the city back by a day. Fortunately, the next morning, I was feeling pretty stable enough to get myself moving off to the coordinates that I had landed on back in December, and they were actually within walking distance from my hotel. So I set out on foot just before I was about to catch a plane and head west to David, and I went out to try to find this church that I was hoping to visit. I made it to the sanctuary, and they're holding Sunday Mass right now. There are so many people, there's actually a line out the door. It's really moving to see this level of faith and community. This is the Parroquia Nacional del Corazón de María. The parish was founded in the 1940s by Claretian missionaries, and it's been a spiritual home in Panamá City ever since. And what's especially interesting is that it was one of the first churches in the city dedicated to the Sacred Heart of Mary, And over the decades, it became a gathering place for worship and social and educational programs to support the local families here in Panama City. And even today, I can just feel how much it means to the community to be a bedrock of the faith. Out of respect, I won't film inside during the Mass, but I'm just so glad I get to witness it from here. These owl statues, which in Catholic tradition are meant to signify wisdom and protection over everyone who comes here. All right, with the mission officially accomplished, it was time to head west and catch my next flight to David. So this part of the journey was connected to my work. Shout out to the best tax write-off ever. I had the chance to join a wellness retreat located in the Gulf of Chiriquí, which is along Panama's rugged and mostly untouched Pacific coast. Here's a fun fact. Pacific Panama has over 1,000 islands, and many of them are uninhabited, almost scattered like stepping stones into the open water. It is one of the most biodiverse marine areas in the world, but somehow it still feels completely off the radar. I spent the next 5 days in what honestly could only be described as paradise. We hiked rainforest trailers, learned how to tell a male howler monkey from a female. If you know, you know on that one. We went island hopping by boat. I made my first wheel-thrown pottery piece and ate some of the best meals I've ever had in my life. And in the middle of all that, we were still in training, but honestly, it didn't feel like work or even like any training I've done before. It truly felt like my nervous system could finally just exhale. There were conversations under thunderclouds, long silences that just didn't need filling, and random moments where I realized I was just smiling without even knowing why. This did not feel in any way like professional development. More or less, it was like I've wandered into this incredible soul reset. But before I spiral into a whole monologue, can we just take a minute to walk around this resort property? You've got to see it. I love the lyrics in this next song, so just take a breath with me and soak it in.
El amparo pedir, demando culpa anticipada. No tengo nada que decir, tu amor palabra vencida, burlada. Un contrato de pura fe te traigo sin firmas ni huellas grabadas. Una simple promesa de amor sincero que cure mis malas mañas. Derrotado ante tu altar, perdona, ojos de India sagrada. Una cosa te aclaro, mi sol, te quiero, soy peregrino de tu cielo, soy peregrino de tu cielo. No quiero secretos y así, declaro delirio hasta el alba y ahora al tanto de tanto dolor, tu amor defensa me indulta y me salva.
While I was at the retreat, I had one of those random but cool moments getting to meet my first YouTuber and blogger out in the wild. Shout out to Jason and Tommy from ElementDIY who turned out to be fellow attendees. ElementDIY is a brand built around the boxy Honda element, but really it's about building a life shaped by movement, creativity, and a little bit of resourcefulness. Their whole vibe is about making adventure more accessible, whether that is turning your car into a weekend camper, heading out on a solo trip, or just finding ways to make the most of what you've got. Jason even mentioned that he would have road tripped his element all the way to Panama if it were possible. Also, they have a mascot, Gil the crab, who is a total Vic, very important crab, makes a cameo appearance all the way in Panama. Shout out Gil. And also, just after spending these past few weeks obsessively tracking down these coordinates for Travel Pics Game, I totally had this moment of, wait, what if I did this all in a Honda Element? Or what if the game and travel actually converged into something bigger for me? This was just one of these serendipitous, unexpected overlaps with my work trip crossing paths with a small creative community. I'm dropping their links in the description if you want to check them out. So what we have the merch here for Box Life, ElementDIY, all the way in Panama.
All the way in Panama.
That's right.
I tell you, I looked at ways to get the car down here instead of renting.
You tried every way to get the car.
Yeah.
Was it 81 hours?
I did. It was something like 81 hours. And we even looked, like when we were renting, we're like, is there any way to find one?
I know.
To rent?
If
No.
it were possible, you would. Get him famous.
She's got the orange.
Doesn't need to wait in line to get in places. This is Gil. Gil gets around. It's Chase. He gets around. Gil gets around. Gil, celebrity, Panama, and goes places. Sadly, the time came to say goodbye to Isla Boca Chica Paradise and head back into the city. Fortunately, I booked myself one more night, which ended up being a smart move, especially considering how the trip began. This time, I was staying in Casco Viejo, the old city. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site and one of the most photogenic parts of Panama City. The architecture here is a mix of Spanish, colonial, Caribbean, and French influences. And if you're into street layouts, tile work, or rooftops, it's basically a travel bucket list item dream. Later that night, I met up with a couple folks from the retreat for dinner at this art-forward restaurant and hotel called Tantalo. Great food, solid drink selection, but the real experience here is in the atmosphere. The art is bold and colorful and a little chaotic in the best way, and I am not exaggerating when I say the bathroom feels like you are stepping into a full-on rave. On my last morning before flying home, I had this moment of, wait, I came all the way to Panama and somehow hadn't gone to the one place basically everyone associates with the country. Can you really say you've been to Panama if you haven't seen the Canal? So I headed out to the Miraflores locks to fix that. It was actually really cool seeing where the ships pass through, and watching the scale of the whole thing up close is so interesting. There's also a short film about the Canal's history, narrated, of course, by Morgan Freeman, and it's an IMAX movie, and yeah, it was actually pretty decent. But even more memorable than the Canal or the movie was something that happened earlier in the trip. So before heading to David, I connected with a local guide named Jair. His knowledge of the city and its history was hands down better than any documentary I'll ever watch. He spent the morning showing me around and pointing out landmarks and giving more context as we drove around. And one of the coolest things that he shared, in my opinion, was that the Amador Causeway, so those islands just off the coast of Panama City, was actually built using the rocks excavated during the canal's construction. And all that material had to go somewhere, right? And so they used it to connect 4 tiny islands to the mainland. Jair is incredibly kind and generous, and he shared the kind of personal insight you only get from someone who really cares about where they're from. I told him I want to get better at interviewing people, and he agreed to get on camera and share a bit. Hola, este es mi amigo Jair. Hola. Jair, ¿qué es algo de Panamá que los turistas casi nunca notan, pero que para ti es muy especial?
algo que no noten los turistas. Wow, está un poquito difícil la pregunta. El turista casi nunca nota la parte, más que nada los barrios
Sí.
que hay dentro de la ciudad, que se pueden llamar algo peligroso por decirlo así, pero en el día a día no. En el día a día no tanto. O sea, en el día el turista puede conocer ese tipo de lugares también. Si van acompañados de una persona que los guíe en esos lugares. Al final no los notan dentro de la ciudad, pero existen dentro de la ciudad micro o pequeños barrios donde el turista no los llevamos por esa área, más que nada por seguridad, ¿no? También, pero es muy bonito también conocerlo. Por lo general no se nota.
Sí. Gracias. What he says about tourism in Panama, and I think it applies to tourism anywhere, it will really stick with me. We kept talking about how, like any big city, you know, there are risks that you take, but most people are just trying to live their lives in peace. And it's true, if you stay aware and show up with openness and lead with respect, people will reflect that energy back. Places open up, conversations get more real, and even in a short amount of time, you will walk away from the experience feeling like you connected with something deeper. And thus, with a grateful heart, I say hasta luego, Panama, and head off to wherever Travel Pics Game is gonna send me next. You know, this trip really reminded me how much beauty there is in the unexpected, and how whenever plans change or fall apart completely, there's still wonder to be found in the people you meet and just in the fact that you're here at all. Thank you for coming along with me. I guess we'll have to wait and see where I land next.
Acabaste de despertar. Voy a poner la cafetera.
Las voces dentro de mi cabeza están en silencio. Tu presencia. Me siento tan afortunado.